Welcome back everyone to Blend to Unreal Engine 5, the complete beginner's guide. And this is where we actually left it off. Absolutely nowhere because we haven't really done anything yet. So now what we're going to discuss is we're going to actually discuss getting references and where to actually start, because you don't just really want to jump into Blender and just start creating something. You actually want an idea to work to. And even if the idea is actually in your head, just make sure that you've got a load of references to back it up, because I guarantee it will help you in your final image. Things like lighting, things like textures, how the thatching looks on roofs, how roofs are actually built, because we are going for a lot more realistic approach with this. And when you come to realism, you really need to look at how things are actually built. So what I tend to do, first of all, I'll open up something called PureRev, which is this here. And you can see there's nothing in here. Now, PureRev is free. You can actually go and download it for free. Just type in PureRev. They might ask you if you want to make a donation or something like that. But as far as I know at the moment, it's actually free. Now, the first thing I do is I go over to Pinterest. So I'm going to put my Pinterest board. And here we are. And what I do is I find references based on the things that I want to actually create. So you can see here, I've got a Viking hut here. All I've typed in is Viking house here. And most of the models that come up are actually in 3D anyway. So that's quite handy. If they're not, just put in Viking house 3D model. Now, the good thing about Pinterest is when you click on one, you're going to get a load more images down here. And this is really going to give you a lot of ideas. Not only how to, how the buildings actually look, or give you ideas on how to build buildings out, but also how to render it out maybe. So you can see here, black background. You can see I've got some ideas from there. You can see this one here is a very nice one. It's very nicely lit. Now what I tend to do now is I will grab a load of references. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to say copy image. I'm going to go back to my PureRev. I'm going to press Ctrl V and just drop my image in there. Now the good thing about PureRev is I can grab an image and let's say drag it anywhere I want. I can make it bigger if I want to, like so. There's many other things you can do with PureRev, but I'm just going to show you the very basics. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another image. Let's grab something that needs a little bit of cutting out, like this one. Let's grab this one. So I'm going to grab this one. I'm going to drop it in PureRev, so Control V, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I've got it selected, hold the C button, and then just cut over like so. And it's actually going to cut it out, and then I can put it in place. So you can just cut out little parts of them. Now what I tend to do is once I've got a load of references for my Viking building, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get some references for textures and things like that. So let's put in weathered wood. Like so, and we could put in texture after it, but you can see here that this gives us some really nice ideas for what type of wood we're going to actually want. And when you get a little bit more advanced, you can actually use these to create textures in something like Substance Painter or Substance Designer, or even right here in Blender itself using the node trees and things like that. All right, so now once we've got this, so let's just grab one of these. So I'm just going to copy image again. I'm going to go to PureRev, Control V, and drop in my materials. So what I tend to do is I'll have my building over here. I'll have my materials over here. And the next thing I'm going to look at is lighting. So if I go back to the one that I had before, we can see something like this, for instance, is a really good shot of what a Viking hut would actually look like. We can see we've got all of this in the background. So what I tend to do is I tend to grab this and I'm going to make then a load of real life Viking huts, which I can actually base it off. So I'll have, like for Unreal Engine 5, we're basically building out an environment. We can see here, this is the sort of terrain that they actually lived in. It's very green. Now, once you've got a load of these, you can actually save some of them out and actually use those within Midjourney or DALL-E, and you can actually generate some more images, which might be good if you want to, let's say you want to create something highly stylized, but you only have realism to go with. So what you can do is, if I pull over my Midjourney, you can see here, so this is my Midjourney, and you can see that I've already put some in, and I already got some really nice ideas. You can also see that it's a pretty stylized look, this. Now, you can actually go with realism, but I wasn't sure at the time whether I was going to do stylized or realism. Again, though, we can actually click on these. We can actually copy this, so copy image, and then we can drop it into our actual PureRev. So let's drop it into here. So Control V. There you go. Like so. Now we've got a load of images and to actually work with and build our actual Viking hut. But we're not done there, because what I tend to do then is I tend to actually make a drawing. So just a basic drawing. You don't really need any drawing skills or anything like that. It is good if you've got an actual digital tablet, or you can actually draw it on paper, completely up to you. So here is the image that I actually drew out, and you can see that there's not a lot to this. It probably wouldn't make sense to a lot of other people, but it does give me a nice reference to actually go with. So if I come in and just copy that, I'm going to close that down now. I'm going to put this over here, so let's make it smaller, like so. And this is my main image to actually work with, completed with, you know, either realism or your stylized and your textures and your actual lighting. And then you've got a really, really good idea of how to go forward. And I recommend this is how you start every single build that you're going to do. All right, now that's out the way, I'm going to close my PureRev down because I've already done all of that. I recommend, though, if you want to, you know, change your Viking hut, you know, to look a little bit different from mine, then you actually go through this process. In fact, I would say just go through this process before actually, you know, carrying on with the actual cut. So now we've discussed how to actually start. Now what we need to do is go back into Blender, and what we're going to do now is discuss where to start in Blender. So the first thing you want to do is you want to bring in your human reference. So let's go to File, and we're going to go to Import, and we're going to go down to where it says OBJ, and then I'm going to go to my reference. I'm going to bring in human reference, and there he is. He'll come in actually stood on the actual ground plane. You'll notice at the moment he's in orange. This is just because if I try and move him at the moment, I won't be able to move him. I just need to click on him like so. The next thing is you'll notice over on the left hand side, there isn't really anything over there. But if I press T, we can actually open that up. Now at the moment, you'll see also there's no gizmo to actually move him or anything like that. I'm just going to press Shift Spacebar, come down to where it says move, and then I'm going to have a gizmo. Now the next thing you'll notice is that his orientation, this little yellow dot, is all the way over here, not in the center of him, which means that if I want to rotate him, so RY, you'll see he rotates really weirdly around this point. I don't actually want that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click anywhere in the viewport. I'm going to go down to where it says set origin. I'm going to set it origin to the geometry of my man here. And there you'll go. Now if I rotate him, you'll see he just rotates around. It's basically his own axis. Now we've got our guy in. This guy is 1.8 meters tall, and this gives us a really good idea of how big to actually build our gray box out, which we're actually going to need to really, you know, kind of lay everything out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to actually use this cube. So I'm going to pull this cube up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and get some, you know, kind of realistic sizing to this. So if I put my guy here, now we can change this around, of course, but we should leave our guy in to at least most of the builds actually built out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my actual cube. I'm going to press tab to go into edit mode. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my face select up here. Now you can press numbers 1, 2, and 3. So you can see 2 is edges and 3 is faces at the top. So I'm just going to press 3, which is faces, go to this face. When you're in edit mode, you have to press Shift Spacebar again, come down to move. So you have to do that just once in edit and object mode, and then it should be there set out for you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back. Now I'm not going with any particular dimensions. I'm just making this to the size that I think looks right. Next of all, I need to pull this side out like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my guy, bring him over here. And now what I'm checking is to make sure that if he actually walks to the front of the house, is he going to bang his head walking into the door, for instance, or something like that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to press 1 on the number pad, and I can see first of all that this cube is way above the ground plane. It's really handy to actually bring everything down to this kind of line here that you can see, this x-axis going across, because then you can actually measure everything out. Now you'll see that when I build this out, if I've got a door here, the door will have to be all the way up to there, and that's not something we want. So we need to have this first floor of the Viking hut, even though there is only one floor, higher than our guy, much higher than our guy, to actually enable us to put a door in there. So if I come round now to the top of it, I'm going to grab the top of it like that, press 1 on the number pad, and then I'm just going to pull it up like so. And now we can see that that's probably going to be able to fit a door nicely in there and actually have a nice structure going around it to make it look realistic. All right, everyone. So that's the starting part of this. On the next actual lesson, what we'll do is we'll focus on getting this grey box finished, and we'll discuss why I'm going to put things where I am and about supports and things like that. All right, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.